Hi there, my name is Amanda Ho, and I'm the co-founder of Regenerative Travel. I'm so excited to be here today and to share with you why we must move beyond sustainability to regenerative travel in order to protect our planet for future generations to come. With an increased number of forest fires, floods, and natural weather phenomena around the world, the climate crisis has come to the forefront of our society as a battle of our lifetime. Then, COVID-19 came along, and we realized that the pandemic was just a dress rehearsal for climate change. As plans ground to a halt and the travel industry effectively came to a standstill, we reflected on the basic notion of why we travel and how we travel. We realized that it was an urgent call to repair and replenish the damage that we have done not only to our environment but our communities. How can we do things better? How can we make the necessary changes to improve the conditions of life for all stakeholders? The answer is regenerative travel. From a very simplistic standpoint, being green is about doing less damage. Sustainability is reaching net neutral, and regeneration is actually making it better. When I was working as a travel journalist just 5 years ago, I realized that it was hard to find hotels that were truly committed to environmental and social impact, as I strived to write about properties that were dedicated to making a positive change through travel. On my search for these stories, I met Debbie Leventhal, the owner of Playa Viva in Mexico, where I had my first experience in a 100% off-grid solar hotel, where I was completely immersed in nature, releasing baby sea turtles into the ocean and eating farm-fresh produce directly sourced from the on-site farm. Fast forward just a few years, David and I came together to join forces to create Regenerative Travel, to make it easy for conscious travelers to find values-aligned hotels through a curated hotel collection, and effectively make a positive change wherever they travel by booking hotels that give back to the local communities and ecosystems. The travel industry as it currently operates is not sustainable. We must move beyond sustainability to regeneration in order to reverse our negative impact and move towards a path of overall improvement. The core 5 principles of regeneration say, we have to think differently about how we exist. By putting these principles into practice, we can begin the path of regeneration. Whole systems thinking is the first principle that recognizes that all stakeholders, including elements such as the physical land, wildlife, and people, are considered in every decision, as well as the potential ramifications these choices have on our actions. For Playa Viva in Mexico, this means getting people out of their rooms to the communal area and connecting with the community that is Playa Viva, which also includes the staff. From there, guests go out into the community, and the farther out they go, the more connected they become to place. Through whole systems thinking, we can have an all-encompassing approach that shows everything is interconnected and ultimately influenced by one another. Through our second principle, honoring a sense of place, we as the host can allow the traveler to be fully immersed in the story of its history, touching upon every aspect of the guest experience, from food to design. Honoring sense of place means to understand its traits and all that define it. For Fogo Island in Newfoundland, they honor sense of place through precise details decided on in collaborative design meetings, weaving the fabric of its history throughout the entire guest experience, from the way they design their bathrooms, all the way to their culinary offering and its architecture. They first look at the inn's food offering and encouraged residents to reactivate the gardens they once abandoned. Through a return to ingredients that they have forgotten and the discovery of ingredients that their ancestors didn't even know were edible, Fogo Islanders were able to rediscover what was already on their doorstep. The third principle is community inclusion and partnership, which is a fundamental cornerstone of regeneration, as its meaning resides in the community and people that inhabit the land. For Gal Oya Lodge in Sri Lanka, the owners established an open dialogue between Gal Oya and the indigenous communities to offer a chance for all parties to voice concerns and become a part of the ongoing evolution of the space. As a result of continual development and communication, Gal Oya and the Vedas developed Veda Walks as an offering for its guests. These walks offer a unique glimpse of a culture that is rapidly disappearing. By incorporating the community with this intimate knowledge of the landscape, the potential of the land increases exponentially, and by extension, the need to protect it. Operating under this methodology rewards the traveler with authentic experiences, The fourth principle of aspiration is defined as the desire and the ambition to achieve something. When placed within the regenerative context, this desire is translated into actualizing the potential of all, individually and collectively. Going back to Playa Viva as an example, potential rests in what most would envision as a problem. Playa Viva is at the base of a watershed, and as a result, has a responsibility to look after whatever goes into it and touches them. So it's not just looking at the town next door, it's first looking at the trash that enters. While implementing environmental education on waste and waste streams, they can begin to educate the youth and activate them to clean up and change their actions. They can see firsthand that waste doesn't just disappear. By having the goal to empower them and make them part of that change is the essence of aspiration. The fifth and final principle is of continual coevolution that affirms that regeneration is not episodic. It evolves continually. One has to be conscious of its evolution. For Great Plains conservation in Kenya and Botswana, they were able to transform an erstwhile hunter and poacher to become a leading guide, and eventually a shareholder in the company. A prime example of how coevolution of people and place can ultimately create a successful model from poaching wildlife to protecting wildlife for tourism. By implementing these 5 principles of regeneration, we can begin to transform and develop a collaborative relationship with nature in our communities. These principles say we have to think differently about how we exist. It is ultimately incumbent on the travel industry, hotels, tour operators, and travel agents to educate and inspire consumers and travelers on how and why they should travel in a regenerative way. By creating this space for engagement, interaction, and understanding for travelers to learn and experience the vibrancy of a place is an important first step in inspiring the paradigm shift. This is just the beginning of the healing process of our Earth. Thank you for listening today, and we hope that you will join us on the journey of regeneration.